So this will be the first time someone's seen your face, apparently, from the sound of the Reddit thread.
No,
No?
nobody has ever seen my face except for Antonius Rex, Drunk Canuck, and a handful of QQ guys. But outside of QQ, only Antonius Rex has ever seen my face,
There you
and
go.
that was in person. So yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, we'll see how many
you're not
people
using
actually
your
show up in channel today, but it seems to be slow on Twitch in general. That's okay. Most people tend to watch this after the fact video.
yeah. The lighting's a little dim in here, unfortunately, but I've
Yeah,
never actually
it's a good
set
point.
up.
I should probably turn on my Halo light.
I don't know if there's a light built into this cam or not. I've never used it before. This is like my first time ever using a cam. It's
All
a little
right, there we
dark.
go.
What do you think? Can you see it?
Oh yeah, I see you fine.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? So it's gonna look weird because I'm looking at my monitor and it looks like I'm looking down.
Yeah. I had
Yeah.
to reposition my camera to the other monitor so that because I spend all my time looking at the preview and make sure everything's still working. So I'm
Right.
looking at the other monitor all the time. So it's
Let me
kind of funny.
see if I change it. No, I can't clip it to anything. This is retarded. This is the best spot, really. I got it on top of. It's basically right above TeamSpeak on my monitor here. Now my head's cut off.
You didn't need that anyway.
Yeah, I got no heads.
All right. Well, I mean, here we are. I don't think a whole lot of people expected me to like pull Carpenter out of the works, but you know, quite frankly, you guys have been around for a million and a half years at this point, so
Just a little while. Yeah.
kind of like stable point competitive unit at this point.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so I mean, it's been a long time. God, what? How long have we all been a part of this game now? 3.5 years.
I've been playing since June or July of 2012. So two and a half, a little over 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Been a long time.
Whew. My how time flies. My how time
Yeah.
flies. So you know, this is as interesting of an event for me as I'm sure it will be for you. You know,
Hmm.
yeah, it's not often that people sit down and have these kind of questions thrown down
Right.
and get to know somebody a little better. So yeah, I mean, so I guess the first question I'm always interested to hear, is, depending on how far people go into it, is how did you find out about MWO anyway? I mean, kind of obscure.
So for me, I was just looking at some gaming news and I caught wind of MechWarrior Online and it flashed me back to multiplayer BattleTech 3025, which I played avidly. Unfortunately, that game never actually made it out of beta, but it conjured up all these memories of those days, and that was, oh my God, that was what, 2001, 2000, yeah, around 2001. So God, I'm dating myself already. But immediately I went on this website. I'm like, what the hell is this? How did I not hear about it? And I signed up right away, and I saw the founders package, and it said, sign up for founders package, you get into the beta. So I didn't. I probably took all of about 15 minutes to figure that out. Got on and started playing, and after probably a week or two, I was browsing through forums and I came across the Comstar, not the Comstar NE, but it was originally the Comstar EU TeamSpeak server. If you remember, everyone was using the old Comstar server, and then it
I
started
remember
crapping
Comstar
out.
servers, yeah.
Yeah, and then it started crapping out, and everyone moved over to the NA server, or it got redubbed the NA server, and that's where a lot of us who were regular closed beta players just started looking for each other and dropping over and over and over again.
I remember
And
that. I don't think
yeah,
too far after that it was. I think the first big TeamSpeak after that was what House of Davy and TeamSpeak started up not too long after that. I think.
yeah, there were the house ones. I never actually went to any of the house ones. I just stuck to these two Comstar servers, just bouncing back and forth. And it seemed like I didn't want to be affiliated with just one house. I just wanted to be in a mass of all these people that seemed like they were old timers like myself, I guess. Everyone seemed to have played everywhere from tabletop to original MechWarrior for PC back in I guess I'd been early '90s, and I had that too, and it was very nostalgic for
Yeah,
sure
you've been
playing MechWarrior.
playing this stuff for a long time.
Yeah, I like my big stompy robots. My fiance
It's hard
hates the
not
fact
to.
that. Yeah,
It's hard
exactly.
not to. Shame.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's yeah, I played a shit ton of beta and I was there for the resets and the frustration of LRM Apocalypse
Hmm.
1, 2, 3, and so on.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and
Headshotting LRMs, those are good.
yeah, yeah. I remember when
Orbital
LRMs,
barrages, those are good too.
yeah, they went right up and over a mountain, no matter how tall it was. And I remember standing up on what we called Missile Hill on Caustic. That there's a big hill on the refinery side. And you just stood up there and just LRM'd the shit out of anything that's poked its head out, and nothing could touch you. So, they were fun, but they're totally just for shits and giggles, right?
Yep. So, I mean, as per this conversation already, I mean, you've played a lot of the beta. So then compared to now, quite a difference. What's your take on that?
Yeah, yeah. Ravens weren't impossible to hit. You could drop dual AC-40s into a Raven, and the hit reg was absolutely just shit, pretty much. So, and there's no other way to say it. I mean, hit reg was so bad for hitting lights that, people who were running around with lights were like godlike. And
Poor Centurions.
yeah, and Centurions, they were bugged because the arms would block a lot of the damage, and so there was a lot of weird things that would happen. I remember my I signed up for an elite package and I picked the catapult, and I loved the mobility and the jump jet capability, and I loved brawling. I mean, believe it or not, the catapult was actually a decent brawler back in the day, as long as people didn't headshot your huge cockpit with an
Or,
AC-40.
before the warp nacelles for ears.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember when nobody used PPCs because they were
Yep.
really damn slow and they were way too hot. So there's lots of changes. Only a few maps, one game mode. I mean, people talk about the game being repetitive. Nowadays, it's got a lot more variety than it did during closed beta.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I mean the replayability in any online multiplayer game is the people you're playing with and against.
Hmm.
I mean, by and large, that's not your thing. You're gonna have a hard time enjoying any real multiplayer game. It's the
Yeah,
unique experiences you get from the people playing.
yeah. That's kind of like when we see the old names. I have a lot of friend bookmarks, I guess, or and you see the little green, the names highlighted in green in TS, and there's a lot of those names that disappeared and then came back, and you're just like, oh my God, hey, I remember you from closed beta type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's nice to see some of those old familiar faces coming back to the game after CW launched, and hopefully they stick around.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That'll be good things for the game. Uh, you know, I have this question three listed here, but I think there's a question that kind of predates this one that I'm kind of curious about: is when did QQ Mercs start? Actually, exactly.
So, so the QQ story was kind of interesting. It started off with a whole bunch of us that were just basically LOL pug stomping, and people were whining about premates, and premates were the big dirty thing because there were so few of them. And
Remember that
so
actually.
we would run, yeah, you could run 1 to 4 or 8, and so we ran eights as much as we could because there was about a dozen of us that would look for each other. And once we got to 8, it was just we'd just stay on for hours. And it's almost a shitty thing that I'm in the East Coast because most of the people I made friends with were all West Coast with a couple of people overseas. And so I would be like 2, 3 a.m. and guys would be logging on, and we'd be just starting to really get going. And it's 3 a.m. Eastern time, and many a night I played till 5 or 6 in the morning, and just didn't even feel like it was that late because it was so much fun. So we had a lot of people just bitching, and so for fun, it was really a smart ass thing. Really, we just will tag ourselves as QQ, partly because of the whining, and partly because one of the guys had this little duck call whistle. So he'd go quack quack every time we had Forest Colony, where we go in the water and just basically rush teams through the water. And so we used to just say quack quack. just for fun. So that's kind of where the QQ starts. It's kind of stupid and childish, but once we actually all tagged up in a channel in the Comstar server, people started going, "Oh, congrats on your new group," and we're like, "Well, not really a group. We're just throwing this tag on just so we can find each other more easily." And it did stand out, and people ended up kind of saying, "Hey, what's the process of joining you guys?" And once we had enough of those inquiries, we decided, all right, let's turn this into an actual Merc core. We got a forum page, made a website out of WordPress, and started turning it into a real thing. And we had enough resources that we had a guy design the QQ logo. We had a guy who did a lot of the web stuff. I became the forum admin, and then we started ironing out, leadership and about a month later, we had guys that had come to us from a group uh, called R Sauce. I won't say what the R is for, but they were good players, and they were under the leadership of an old name you're going to remember, Mongoose Trueborn.
Mm.
You remember him?
Mm-hmm.
So he rebranded and formed Deviate and wanted to make it as an elite competitive team, and he managed to woo a lot of those guys back under his new team. And so that set us back a little bit on the competitive side, but we forged ahead. And about a month later, we lost some more guys because we were learning, right? None of us really played competitive MechWarrior up until January. Well, actually, we started playing end of January of 2013, so 2 years ago, and we had to learn the hard way. We got beaten up on. We got sniped the shit out of. We ran into enough of SGR and Chaos and um, let's see who else were popular then. Jade Wolf. We actually lost about 8 or 10 guys to Jade Wolf. Some of our really good players. So we had to rebuild and we bounced back and we entered competitive a couple of months later in um, what was that tournament? Last Mech Standing. Remember that it had 2 seasons and it was a new league and we wanted to get our feet wet in this new
I
league.
remember that. Yeah, I
Remember
do
that?
remember that.
Yeah. So Last Mech Standing lasted only 2 seasons and then after that we said, okay, you know what, we got some competitive experience under us. Let's go jump into Arhod and that
Uh,
was
Memories of
our
early Arhad.
yep, early Arhod full meta jacket as I called it to the guys.
The Highlander spam was real.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. And we had to learn how to play pure meta all the time. And it took a little while to get everybody to that level. And, not everybody was a good sniper because sniping was a pretty high learning curve to do it well. And so that kind of answers part of that question about comp too, unless you want to know more.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess it does. Most part. Uh, yeah, I guess you hit 3 and 4 there, pretty much. Um,
Fondest memories, like I have to say we've had a match in Last Mix Standing. I forget I think it was season one, and Deviate was because we had guys that had joined us and then left because they wanted that sort of turnkey competitive, so to speak. And that's the reason why some of the other guys went to Jade Wolf because they had people who were already competitive experience, and
I remember J
you
Wolf
know,
Paragon, right?
yes, and some of the Paragon guys went to Jade Wolf as well. So there was established competitive leadership there, and so when we managed to beat Deviate in a best of three, that was a really pivotal moment for us. That like, hey, you know what? We can beat one of the top teams in the competitive scene at the time. They came back to beat us in the final, but at least we made it to the final out of I think it was 16, 12 or 16 teams. I'd have to go back and look, but we made it to the final and had a showdown against Deviate. So that was a big early competitive accomplishment. And then down the road, speaking of Arhad, the Arhad season 4, I think it was, whatever it was this past summer, they had the NA Open division, and they had two sides, and we ended up facing off with SLR, Star League Reborn, and they were undefeated, and we were undefeated in our respective divisions, and we had never fought Star League Reborn before, so that was kind of a cool fight because all we had were a couple of videos to see, and that's it. We didn't know, firsthand really what it was like to fight them. until we did that best of five, and it went to five, and it was a really really good series. So I have those recorded. So anybody here who wants to watch, I don't know, an older series and some older meta before there were a lot of clan mechs, that's a good
The
series to catch.
clans.
Yeah.
Sigh.
Yeah, yeah, and that's changed the scene a lot too, and I know the next season of Arhot is going to be completely unrestricted as far as the usage of clan mechs. So we'll get to see the first competitive league that is completely unrestricted on what's available, with the exception, I think, of what's maybe not available for C bills. But I'll have to. That's the magician show.
The Arctic
So
cheater will
yeah.
change the game.
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be a real game
It's,
changer.
oh god.
I'm thinking it's
Oh.
goodbye Firestarter after that. I honestly
Yeah.
do. Yeah. So
I mean, so I guess talking about the Firestarter, talking about all that kind of stuff. There's been a lot of mechs in this game. So what's your favorite mech, and what was your favorite meta? I mean, everyone's different.
I actually liked jump sniping. I felt like the
Me too.
battles were, you had that long range standoff. It became more about the skill game, right? The smart game, and being able to snap off the shot and hit the target at long range. So I actually didn't mind the Pop Tart Wars. Those were the longest matches. I know a lot of people hated Pop Tarting. Probably the people who weren't very good at it. But the Cataphract 3D was my favorite mech for a very long
Yeah,
time,
me too.
and sadly it collects dust, and I have two of them. And every once in a while I pull it out in the group queue just to run dual Gauss, just for the fun of it, But there's no way it's not competitive anymore, thanks to XL squishiness. But maybe if they boost PPCs up enough, we might see the return of a Gauss PPC Cataphract, possibly. But we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
yeah,
And then nowadays, it's the Hellbringer, right? It's a heavy with ECM that can pack a nice punch. It's probably my go-to mech now. Like when I ran the challenge this past weekend, it was the mech I was racking up a guaranteed kill and assist and helping the team win because of the ECM as well. So it's a solid mech. I use it in community warfare. I've got two of them in my deck because I like having the ECM and the high mounted shoulder weapons and the head laser too. So yeah, it's beastly. And I'm just thinking now of this new pack and two more ECM mechs for the clans. It's becoming almost unfair, really. The IS needs an ECM capable heavy. It really does.
yeah. I mean, all sorts of things at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm totally with you on the jump sniping meta. Like, I mean, there was definitely a point where it was ridiculous. I mean, there was a point where it's over the top. 732 is probably almost game destructively strong at some point.
Yeah. Back
But I mean,
when,
it got
yeah.
toned down considerably over the lifespan of that meta, and that meta was a lot of fun for me personally. I mean, I don't think the skill has ever been higher than that high mobility, like late Dragon Slayer meta. That high mobility air to air jump sniping, highly aggressive. Like that was the most gratifying thing in the world to come out on top of people like Jaeger and Proton and
Yeah.
all those guys. Even just in a pug queue, just having those one-on-one duels you get because you see each other and it's like okay, it's on, you know. So I remember that. So I'm totally with you with that one. Like that was the best I think it's been.
I Yeah, you reminded me about the 732. The triple PPC Gauss build was ridiculous, especially in Alpine. That's all it was you just see, and before they even
Triple
implemented,
ER PPC at that.
yes, and it was triple ERs till they did the
2,000
heat.
meters a second on those things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's unthinkable now. That it'll never come back to that level, and it shouldn't
No,
really, because it's too powerful. All that front loaded damage is just ridiculous.
definitely, definitely. So I mean, yeah. So I guess you kind of touched on your favorite mech, your favorite meta. So we've done all that. And I think the next question, and you kind of touched on that before we started, so if anyone was here slightly before that, I'm not sure, probably not, but
It was before. Yeah, it was
yeah.
before.
So who is the player you most look up to and respect?
So I would have to say there's two sort of answers to that, and it depends on what aspect of MWO. When it comes to the fun side of MWO, I have to say I give mad props to the Beef for his entertaining videos.
Beef is fucking hilarious.
Even my fiance loves the Beef. Okay, she hates Mech Warrior and she hates it when I play late at night. But I'll show her a video from the Beef and she'll actually watch it. It's about the only thing I can get her to do related to MWO. She's gonna pipe in here in 2 seconds right now. Um, but she's overhearing this. Yeah, there's a thumbs up for the Beef right there.
It's not supposed to be a thumb. It's supposed to
It's a
be a
thumbs up for the
cookie.
Beef.
Come on.
Well, speaking of cookies, right
There
here
you
is
go.
some Chips Ahoy cookies. I put these beside me
Yeah.
because I'm gonna honor the Beef by having a nice crunchy cookie. So I'm just gonna mute my mic.
That's great.
Thanks, Beef. Keep the vids coming because those are fucking awesome. Want to see more party back? Definitely more party back.
That's great. Oh man.
And then when it comes to gameplay, um, I'm gonna give actually two names. An old school name, Koreanese.
Oh, I
Remember
remember
him?
that guy.
Remember
Holy crap! All
Koreanese?
his instructional videos were very helpful for helping
Mm-hmm.
new people get into the game.
Koreanese during closed and early open was an insanely good player. No matter what he piloted, he was good in it. Now I would say that person is Proton. You know, he doesn't talk a lot. Usually you just hear him say "boosh boosh" and that's it. But I rolled a fair bit with Proton around the time when the Victor came available for C-bills.
Fights with him are so
And
memorable.
he, at the time he was in Black Omen, and QQ and Black Omen and CI were all sort of in the same TeamSpeak group. We were in a very friendly alliance, a close alliance where we'd mix teams with each other. And I'd play sometimes during the day because I work from home. So Proton being Russian, we'd jump on together and we'd run around. And I remember people talking me out of buying the Victor, and then I would see Proton doing crazy shit using the Victor 9B as a brawler. Um, and so I said, okay, well, what's your build? And I built the same way, and then I just ran beside him and watched him do crazy stuff with it. And then I started improving on how to brawl by mimicking what Proton was doing. And he was running an XL engine in that thing, which everybody thought was crazy. You
Hmm.
can't run an assault with an XL engine, no way.
The Victor
And
changed that thought.
yep, yep. And he kicked some serious ass, and he's doing it again today. When I see Proton, I'm like, oh fuck, like that's the last name I want to see on the other side of the team.
Yeah,
That's but I'm happy to see him on my side.
but they're
But
the best fights. They're always the
yep,
best fights.
yep, yeah. And I've seen him rip shit up in locusts. I've seen
I
him
know.
do, it's just, and
What's
everybody,
it? What's his favorite one lately? Was is it 8 medium pulse on a fire starter? Some nonsense like that.
yeah. Well,
It's
he's and
like
he's got this uncanny twitch skill, right? I mean, he's able to fly around and maneuver so well and just hit everything where he wants to hit it, and that's just a natural twitch skill that you can't have it. If you don't have it, you just can't perform to that level. So there's always going to be a handful of those people. But yeah, Proton and the fact that he's not a cocky bastard, he doesn't say anything, doesn't talk shit, and that's
if
what
anything,
really
he's
earns my respect.
word
Yeah,
for it.
humble.
Um, he doesn't think highly of himself.
Yeah,
Not like low self esteem, but
yeah,
he doesn't
he's a
think
humble
himself
prick.
special in any way.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and that earns you more respect, earns the community more respect than
My God, is he
somebody who
good?
thumps their chest and says, "Look at me, I'm so amazing. Here are my screenshots to prove it." You know what I mean? So he doesn't need to do that. His reputation speaks for himself.
Yeah, definitely, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. We've had a lot of, on the topic of competition, competitive people. We've had a lot of competitive events over the years. If you had to pick a favorite, which one would that be?
Actually, you know what? I really enjoyed the one and only PGI Run tournament, and that forced me to build a sort of a mixed team. Um, interest at the time in competitive and QQ was a little bit waning. There was just people who were getting burnt out of the game. So I wanted to be in the tournament, and so I submitted a mixed team, and we called ourselves the Death Meta Band.
I remember
Just for
that
fun.
actually.
Yep, yep. So yeah, so we had a couple of matches in there, and we got knocked out. I think it was 2-8. I think I have to go back and look, but it was one of the top tier teams that we had to fight, and we lost out to, and we actually borrowed people from different units, so it gave me a chance to meet new players from different units, and a couple of those guys have joined QQ since then. So that was a good time. The other time was when I built another mixed team called the Comstar Titans of Rage, and that was a little over a year ago. And we had mostly QQ, and then a few guys who split off from CI. One of them, a lot of people know, is Heimdallite. And so Heimdallite and myself, Heimdallite had tried to form his own group called Destroyers Titans, and it was only about half a dozen to 8 active guys. So I reached out to him and said, "Hey, if you want to fill out the rest of the QQ roster, we'll get you in, and we'll have a mixed team, and we'll give it a unique name." And we brought a couple of guys from CI as well. So basically, we managed to pull together like a really good meta team. And best series, other than the Deviate one I mentioned, is probably the one against SGR, where we actually went to 6 games in that series, and that was a really grueling series. And we actually could have won that series, but we didn't capitalize on one of the drops on Forest Colony. They were actually more beat up than we knew, and this was one of those long range trading games, right? So we didn't have the information because we were too far away to see how fucked up they were. And Magician told me after, he's like, "Had you guys just pushed on us, you would have wiped us out because we were all crit." And we were like, "Ah, shit," so we just didn't know. But yeah, we've had some great competitive experiences, and it keeps QQ going. And
Yeah, it's definitely the heart of the game as far as I've seen.
yeah,
I wish and encourage more people to get involved. I mean, there's a lot of people out there like yourself, many other units out there, more than willing to help people and get them to learn it for nothing else to have other people to shoot at
yep,
and to be shot at by.
yep.
It's always good to see new faces. Always good to see new faces. Um, so that actually kind of ties into this question here, which I need to throw that up on.
I got it on the screen here. That's why I'm not looking right at the camera because it's just to the right.
Yeah.
Which one are you looking at? 7?
Um,
Or you already
well, I
did
think
7?
you've already covered that one, so
Okay.
I'm putting them up right
That
now.
that was favorite competitive event. So
Yeah.
I do like,
So
yeah, I do like the tournaments, the double elim tournaments. I think that's actually my favorite format.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, double elimination or like a double round robin or something with
Yeah.
repetitive events going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that's off a little bit, but that'll do.
Hmm.
Um, so that leads into question number 8. What would you like to see from the game going forward? I mean,
Well, this is a hotly contested one, but definitely more balance. And I wish we'd see more players. A lot of the problems, I should say problems, but things like queue times and being able to fill the different tiers of populations would come in. A lot of people with lower elo are frustrated fighting against higher elo. There's just not enough higher elo players to go around, so you have to blend the population together in order to find matches.
which frustrates
So
everybody. Yeah.
right, right, right. And
Yeah, the
so if
common
we had,
misconception is that the top end wants to play, these 12 0 2-minute pug stomps.
yeah,
And no, no, we don't.
yeah,
I
no,
would
we
rather
want.
fight 12 protons.
Yeah, we want epic fights, and those are the best fights in CW, especially when it's 12v12, and it could go either way, and they're long fights that often go right down to the wire, and those are the most exciting fights. And we just don't have the population to segregate the queues. I mean, they're already pretty segregated as is. You got a solo queue, a group queue, you've got
40
elo
different
match.
queues of
Yeah, you got
CW now.
yeah 3 modes, like, so it's just, yeah, it's tough. And I'm glad that we're seeing more CW content. I really enjoy it. I know some people feel it's repetitive or whatnot, but Yeah, look at it this way. You've got 3 maps, 3 game modes, and you're playing it from 2 different sides, right? So there's enough variety in there. And if you really are bored, then change your mechs and challenge yourself. You know, take take something different, experiment. That's the way I see it. But
Yeah,
I like CW, and as far as a map reset goes, I think that should be in the cards because there's certainly some things along the way that should have been improved that probably would change the landscape of the map today if they were implemented from the beginning.
yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Definitely agree. Getting the game a more populous is going to help a lot. I
Yeah.
remember back in the day when the game was arguably probably more popular. I mean, I know we had that tweet from Russ about the highest population ever. Not not entirely certain I buy that one,
Yeah, I
but
thought the first week of CW would have been the highest, or over the Christmas break anyway.
or
It
like
certainly seemed a
right
lot.
after launch probably was pretty big too.
Yeah.
I remember when we used to get games, and these games would be crazy. I mean, some of these games would result in ties in the regular queue,
Hmm. Yeah.
like two
Yeah.
people dead and afraid to fight. Like that stuff would happen.
Yeah.
Or well, two people alive. Sorry. And afraid to actually finish the fight because they're both crit. They don't want to look at each other. They know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's just I remember those matches fondly, actually,
Yeah.
and constantly running into uh, top players all the time. I remember that happening as well. Especially if you went into the 12s queue. Like that was no joke back then. Or 12s queue or 8 queue even before that.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just like the chances of getting someone that wasn't like DV8 or hell, let's go further back, Chaos,
Yeah.
running into those kind of people was almost non-existent. You knew if you were going in there, you were ready to throw some punches, or you were going to get
Yeah.
drugged like straight to the mud.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that was great. That was great.
Yeah.
It would like to see enough players return, maybe with Steam release,
Yeah.
for that kind of situation to foster itself again.
Yeah. One danger I've felt with the landscape or the team makeup is this polarization effect of a lot of good players gravitating to a small handful of teams, and that gives you less opportunity for those even battles and finding the frequency of those battles too. So, it would. There's no real. I mean, you can't tell people, you can't go to here or here because they have enough good players. But if the community were to self-regulate itself, I suppose, in order to
Roster
uh,
caps.
create more occurrences of these even battles, that would be more interesting
I
as
agree.
well.
Definitely agree.
Yeah.
And that actually ties right to the next question. Man, I'm actually doing good with this today. What would you like to see from the comp scene going forward?
Well, that's probably one of the best things I think could happen in the comp scene. I do like the idea of tiers with leagues. So like MRBC, for example, had a multi-tier system, so you'd fight within each other. The ladders didn't really take off, but I would like to see PGI implement a competitive ladder
Yeah,
that is actually run by
with a roster
PGI.
cap.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be cool. I would like to see PGI do something for the competitive scene.
Something
It's
substantial. Yeah,
official and something
yeah.
ongoing, not just a weekend tournament or a 2-3 week tournament, but an
Here's some
actual ongoing
free,
ladder.
premium time. It's like that's a nice gesture and we
Yeah,
appreciate it, but it's something in the game
yeah,
to say this is a competitive game. This is where the best go.
yeah,
You want to be the best, come throw punches, show what you got.
yeah, yeah. The
And definitely,
gameplay. I was just going to say this gameplay is so unique and so it has such a high learning curve that it would be interesting to follow if there was enough popularity for it, right? If there was enough
yeah.
population for it. Unfortunately, MechWarrior is kind of a niche game. It's not, and it doesn't have a big marketing budget to push it to the masses. But I think you would see more players playing today be interested in maybe taking up a more competitive position if there was actually PGI backed prizes or
Especially
recognition.
if it was before Steam release,
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
because Steam is going to be an injection of hundreds of thousands of people for a very brief window of time,
Yeah,
assuming
and
you
that's
can
the
retain them.
that's the thing with Steam players is they are quick to try and they're quick to quit. And so we have to make it engaging and doesn't feel like it's a pure play to win or play to pay or pay to play. I mean, kind of format.
Yeah,
And that's where I think the competitive scene also needs to be very careful because a great example, the next clan pack, right? If you enable it to be used in an unrestricted way, it's not accessible financially to everybody, and then people will feel disadvantaged and they may choose not to play competitive. So that can actually hurt
I
the
agree. I
competitive
agree
scene.
entirely.
Yeah.
I have always hero mechs. I have a moral problem with them being involved in any competition, and I always have.
Yeah. And I have always thought that a hero mech should be unique. You should only be able to have one per side, right? I mean, that's why it's a hero mech, right? It's a unique variant. When you had 4, 6, 8 Dragon Slayers, I mean, how are 8 Dragon Slayers all heroes? So if anything, just limit it to one. I mean, between an entire team, there should be enough players that have a hero mech, one of each type, usually, right?
Something.
Yeah.
I've always personally had an adverse reaction to any time where a paywall is incorporated into competitive play. Competitive play is about the better
Yeah.
player, not the bigger funding.
Yeah. Yeah, but then you know what I played. I mean, you look at that, but then you look at most competitive sports, and money shouldn't be the object to holding you back. I mean, people, if it's not within the game, it's within the technology on your table, right? You got to invest in the better hardware, better mouse, better keyboard, all that stuff in order to be competitive. So there's always a financial element to playing competitively, and you'd be
A
amazed
bit,
how many
yeah.
people I talk to who have inferior, just a shitty mouse. Oh, I just use a regular 2-button mouse. I'm like, if you had a gaming mouse, you could vary the DPI while you play for sniping, for playing a light mech versus an assault. You could
Maybe
have
that's something
more
I
than
should
two
do.
weapon groups,
Actually
things
brings
like
an
that.
interesting thing. A lot of people pay way too much for that stuff. Maybe I should write up a list of things that people can go get who aren't exactly rolling in the money that's a lot cheaper and just as performant as a lot of the more expensive stuff. An example of that, you say gaming mouse, eBlue actually makes mice with the Avago sensors, Amaron switches, the whole 9 yards, and they're like bucks.
Yeah. And I'm a Logitech junkie, right? I like the
Yeah, I have
feel,
a
I like
Rocat
the
myself.
reliability. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm running a G9X, and then I have a Logitech G15 keyboard. I have the only thing I have that's non-Logitech, even my webcam is Logitech. The only thing I don't have that's Logitech is I'm using a Razer um, Tartarus keypad. And the reason why I chose that over the Logitech version is I actually felt more comfortable ergonomically with the palm rest. And it's, I'm going to hold it up here for the camera. It's, can you see that? Okay, so see the button layout. You've got 15 buttons, and then you have a paddle, and then you have this, where is it? This button up here. Okay. So, and then you have this four-way joystick type of thing. So this is I've got my ASDW movement keys. I've got my push to talk key on here now. I've got my Q key for seeing the status of my teammates. I have my airstrike, or sorry, my module slot 1 and 2 consumables on there. I've got advanced zoom on there, and I have my arm lock toggle, right? And what
Mm-hmm.
else do I have? And then over here, this paddle, because I draw command, this is normally the space bar. So this would be jump button normally. I remapped it to this little button up here. It actually sits nicer on your thumb. And I toggle this for my map because I'm draw commanding and I want to always be looking at where my teammates are and when they spot a mech where they are. So I find that paddle to be really easy to just flick back and forth between map and looking around. This thing at first was really weird to use, but
Yep.
now when I go back to a keyboard, I can't do it. Like I love using that paddle and or the not paddle, the keypad. And the thing that also is for long hours of gaming, like I often do, I find with just using regular keyboard, sometimes your hands or your wrist will feel, and you start getting that RSI kind of feeling. And with this thing, because of the ergonomics, I don't feel that way. I think for anybody who's starting to feel the effects of RSI or arthritis, even, because hey, let's not kid ourselves, we got some old timers playing MechWarrior,
Mm-hmm.
and this is going to be a great edition. Take that and a good ergonomic mouse, and you will barely have to touch your keyboard other than for chat or for a couple of features
I
like
think that's
setting up
something I should do. I think I should do a big, huge write up on everything
yeah,
involving gaming gear and what to actually look for. I mean, because most people go in, they look at a box to see all the hype words, and they get suckered.
yeah,
And you don't have to spend a ton of money to have what you need to compete with the best of
yeah,
them. I mean, let's face
yeah.
it, you don't need the latest and greatest to play MechWarrior. You don't. You just don't.
Well, and this stuff goes on sale at one vendor or another all the time,
Yeah.
right? So you can find it at anywhere from a third to 50% off, or even Black Friday, you find some of the stuff for 60, 70% off. So just wait for it to go on sale. And it competes, from then you look at bang for the buck, and it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to get anything else.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That does seem like a write up actually too. There's all sorts of interesting
Yeah,
stuff out there that can help people. And again, it makes getting into the competitive scene more accessible for more
yeah.
people, and that's always a good thing. That's what I'm all about. So that should be a write up I should do. That's
Should
a pretty good idea.
talk about the benefits of a variable DPI mouse. I think that's a must-have, especially with the laser vomit environment that we're experiencing now. That fine-tune aiming, especially at long range or using advanced zoom, even you want to dial down that DPI nice and low so you can track
I
targets at
ironically
long
don't do that.
range. Yeah,
I don't do that. I run a naturally low DPI to begin with.
right.
1920 by 1080. I'm running 700 DPI
Yeah.
and
So I
really low
think I
settings.
I I think my lowest setting is like 250
Yeah.
DPI. And when you're using ER large at long range, it's pretty easy to hold on target with advanced zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So
that
yeah.
definitely helped.
So that's your next wish list present, guys. Get some better gear.
Yep, I
Doesn't
actually
necessarily
will do
need
a
video
post
card.
about that. I
Yeah.
will. I think I'll put it on. That actually is probably a good write up for Facebook. I think it contained that pretty well. That might be a reason for me to use it. I made one for this whole project, and I haven't even used it once. So there you go. Maybe that should be something I should put on there, or
There you go.
Reddit, whatever. Either way,
Yeah.
yeah. There's tons of stuff out there for people. If they just knew it was there. So that was good. That was unexpected conversation version.
I think it's something that viewers should, especially players who aren't equipped, the value of it, if you want to, it's like whatever sport you play, right? You invest in a better piece of equipment and you'll find it's just more comfortable or it performs better or it just makes you feel like you're doing better. Like golf clubs, perfect example, right? When somebody buys a new set of golf clubs, they feel like they're awesome all of a sudden. Um, you're still losing 18 balls in an 18-hole game, but you're losing it with more grace, I guess, in style, I suppose. But I like having new gear. I think I'm gonna have to replace my 9X, sadly, because one of my 4 buttons is starting to get glitchy on me.
Oh,
Which
yeah, maybe I can find you
that's
a good suitable replacement.
oh no, I already got
You
that.
already got one?
It's in the box still. It's it's
Oh, you
the
got the
G700.
700, huh?
Well, this is a rechargeable one, and the reason why is I recently bought an Asus ROG gaming laptop as well. I got a pretty good deal on it from somebody actually in the MechWarrior community, and then wanted to be able to have wireless mouse for when I was gaming on the laptop. So I bought that, but that might now become my all-purpose one. But I haven't even cracked it out of the box yet, so we'll see how it feels. But it is a Logitech product, so I know I'll eventually like it.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, the final structure question here on the list is, it's kind of a doozy, I guess. It's a two-parter. So we'll start with part one of it here. Is if you could have changed one thing about the game, what would it be?
Man, this one I kind of stewed over. One thing about the game,
Yeah.
there's no one thing about the game. My first thought originally was balance, but I actually think it should be building more awareness about the game. That's actually what I would like to see at this point. There's enough content in the game. For a free to play, somebody coming to this game, the graphics, as much as there are drawbacks to it, the graphics dialed up, if you've got the right equipment, do look good. I know it makes your visibility shit on certain maps, but it's for a free to play game. It's actually a very, very in-depth game. I mean, you've got a shit ton of mechs. You've got all kinds of customization possibilities. The weapon systems. You've got multiple game modes now. So to me, I really think that the awareness for MechWarrior needs to be pushed, and I know that PGI wants to wait until the game is a little further along and more balanced. So that's I wish there was a little more community outside of the MechWarrior community, actually, more like gaming-wide community awareness of MechWarrior.
Yeah.
Because it's a great game. Like I have never been so addicted to the same game for so long. It takes up 90% of my gaming time, right? And I've got a shit ton of games sitting on a gaming rig, and I'm playing MechWarrior majority of the time, and that says something. And a lot of it has to do with the QQ itself and the friends I've made in QQ, and being so heavily involved in starting QQ along with the handful of other guys. But it's that gameplay that keeps me coming back. And trust me, I've played other stuff along the way, but I've never actually quit MechWarrior at all since I started playing in closed beta.
That's a long time.
Yeah, yeah, that's some real dedication. And there's not many people I know that have had that same fortitude.
That's a short list for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the second part of that is, what would you change about yourself if you could have done something differently?
Jeez. I didn't
Within
actually
the scope of the game, obviously.
think about that. Thinking about myself. Jeez. I can, I really can't seem to think of anything. I mean, I'm happy with what I've done with regards to MechWarrior.
Mhm.
Um, it would have been interesting to see how QQ may have been different if we took a purely competitive approach, like some teams have, to see where QQ could have been. And that really conflicts against my nature because I like to be friends with everybody, and I like seeing a shit ton of people playing with QQ, whether they're whether they're from the group or from other units. But um, that's the only thing if I could have done it twice, I would like to have seen how it would have looked, how QQ would have looked 2 years later had we just gone purely a competitive team and had a much more stringent recruitment process. But I don't regret what we have today. So all you QQ guys watching, if you're a non-competitive player, I don't care, right? At least we have good times and we have lots of laughs, and that's more important to me than winning a few extra matches, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
So we're hitting the 15-minute barrier, so I don't want to go into any huge questions at this point. But what are some things that you do actively within the community, help promote any projects you're working on, things like that, that people might like to know about?
So when community warfare started, I kind of took it upon myself to be a merc diplomat, so to speak. So I got involved. We started off in the FR, and I got involved with the FR unit leadership and found out they had a council. And so I was talking with a lot of the council, and I was trying to do some political jockeying, so to speak. And it was kind of fun, right, to do that. And outside of that, there were periods where I started certain things. And I mean, helping to run QQ. I mean, a lot of the people, if you talk to QQ, they'll basically say like, okay, Carp's the go-to guy. You're the guy. You have to talk to him. And I don't want to take all the credit because it certainly wasn't built on just my effort. And there was a lot of stuff that's not as widely known that's been handled by other players like Valder and Peter Carita. Homeless Bill, was great at writing content.
Don't you mean homeless
Kinetics,
shill?
homeless or shill, depending on the content. Yeah, could be homeless shill. And then you have Kinetics, who has written probably the most comprehensive written player guide, and he's constantly updating. And I've been helping him in the beginning when he was building it. I was helping him just edit and proofread and throw my 2 cents in here and there. So I would say a lot of the community contributions have come more from other people in QQ than, we got Homeless Bill, who's a Reddit moderator for HVG. Um,
He doesn't do anything anymore. The bot does it.
yeah, well, and then there's Zeus. Zeus is the ultimate bot, so nobody needs no, there's no bot if there's no Z spot. Uh, so yeah, so he's been great for the Reddit community, and I did do a couple of tutorial videos way back when, but my video editing skills are not really up to par. I just don't have time to really get into that. And other people are so good at making good training vids or educational vids like the beef. Another. Hold on, beef. What's up? All right.
Oh man, that's good.
Oh,
That's good stuff.
I would send him a pack of these cookies if I knew what his address was. I know. I'm actually amazed how much you got in donation money. Just a
Yep.
shout out to the community for that. Obviously, I'm showing appreciation by eating a cookie and getting a thumbs up from my fiance, but uh, the fact that he
She has to
earned
come
enough.
back with a cookie, not a
Oh, yeah,
thumbs up.
I,
That was
I know.
incorrect.
She was gonna she was gonna bake cookies for tonight, but there wasn't enough time. So, but the fact that he was able to build a whole new computer and
Get internet
upgrade his
installed. Yeah,
internet,
that was a
all that
problem.
stuff. Yeah, like he managed to get a major boost all from the community supporting what
Yep.
he was giving to us was entertainment, so props to him. Keep it coming, man.
Yep. Yep. Definitely. Beef is quality entertainment.
And I'm out of Jack and Coke, so that's my last sip.
But yeah, so I mean, I think a lot of people are going to learn a lot from this. I mean, I certainly have. Um, yeah, I really had to sit and think about it. I had sent some feelers out to other people, and they didn't get back to me. But I just sit and think about who would be really interesting, and you stood out. So I was like, well, that would be somebody no one ever expects. That's like everyone knows, but you just not been in the forelight too terribly much. So
Yeah, I mean, I have my periods where I'm really busy, and um, like I consider myself a knowledgeable player and a pretty decent player. And I'm active in the community as far as the competitive scene goes, and as well as the community warfare scene.
yep.
I'm certainly never going to claim that I'm, of a certain level, like the protons and the Twinkies and so on and so forth. And when it comes to drop commanding, I had to learn a lot of it the hard way, and I still look at the top level team videos matches for ideas, right? And Magician's a really good person to learn from because he's very, very tactical in his approach. And so I often will look at what SGR is doing from a tactical standpoint, especially when the meta shifts or there's new quirks, and I get to see, okay,
What
what
they do is simple, man. All you
they're doing.
gotta do is just look at cats. That's the secret.
Yeah.
Cats.
Yep.
There
And we have two cats, and
you go.
all they
Learn
do is
from
lay
them.
around. They eat, sleep, and shit. That's all the cats do. But so and look at this. This is how good my fiance is. She heard me say I was out of Jack and Coke, and here comes another.
There
There you
you
go.
go.
She
There
she's
you
I think
go.
she's trying to impress all of you guys because I told you she hates MechWarrior.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
At least she likes the beef, so
she likes the beef.
that's something. Definitely
Yeah.
something.
She actually asked. I had a little get together. I opened up the invite out to a few people outside of QQ, and my fiance actually asked me, she's like, "Is the beef coming?" I'm like, "Well, no, he's in a different unit. He's not in QQ." And she's like, "Oh, that's too bad." So you know what, beef? If you want to come to Toronto, you want to visit, we would be happy to host you. Stephanie's a great cook. We'll feed you. We'll give you cookies, home baked cookies, and hell, you can even jump on to MechWarrior and we'll have some shits and giggles because I got two computers that can run it smoothly. So anytime, beef, come on visit downtown Toronto.
There
And I know
you
he's in
go.
Montreal, so he's only
You heard
seven
it
hours
here.
away. Yeah, 7 hours away. He's not that far.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of other guys actually I've come to learn that are in the Toronto area. So if anybody here is watching and you're in the Toronto area, definitely hit me up, shoot me a PM, let me know or where you are, and maybe we'll arrange a little get together for the local people.
Stream it.
Yeah,
Stream it. Do
yeah.
it.
Oh,
That'd
see,
be that'd be funny. Stream a LAN party. Bunch of MWO jokers. Yeah, that'd be funny. It'd be classic. Probably heavily intoxication, but hey.
there would have to be a lot of booze.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
and I have a lot of booze to offer.
Oh, there
So
you go.
no trust me, no shortage of booze here.
Oh god. All right. So I hear you got a match coming up here before long, so probably good to start letting you go. But it was awesome to have you here.
Thanks, man.
The reception when I posted that, people were very happy to see you being on here. Everyone's always got good things to say. I've always got good things to say. Great guy. Always been a pleasure working with you and dealing with you, and this is no exception. So,
Thanks,
appreciate you
man.
being here.
I
Sure.
think they all just wanted to know what I look like,
Probably.
really,
Yeah.
and what my gaming environment looks like, which is actually my office at the same time. So that's why you see
Lots of papers then, right? Looks like lots of
printer
papers.
and oh yeah, there's well, see, I angled the camera just so that you don't see the stacks of paper like right here off to the side. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it looks like it's neat, but it's well, it's your own personal chaos, and you know where you put everything. So that's how I work.
From the chat, Jaeger secret, in and out. There you go.
Yeah,
See,
yeah,
you learn something every day.
yeah. And for those of you, just the last final word, for those of you who are running a unit or looking to get into competitive, if you ever want to get some information or just pointers on like how do you handle this, that, the other thing, anytime, just hit me up. Find me on the QQTS server, which is ts.qqmercs.com, or you can jump onto MWO Mercs and just PM me. It's real easy to find me. So if you want to just type the TS and the spelling of my name so people know how to spell it. Oh yeah, and speaking of which, somebody asked me if I was a carpenter and if I was German. So no, I'm just clearly not German, and it's actually it was a made up name from when I was in university, and it stuck because it was a very typical sounding brown guy name, and I have a very non-typical sounding brown guy name, and so this just stuck, and all these buddies in university started calling me Karpundir. And I just turned it into my gaming tag, and it's never taken by anybody else, so it was perfect. I never have to worry about it. So
And there you go. It's like mine. Most people can't even say mine. It's great.
yeah, how do you say your name properly?
That is the secret.
You just see
It
everybody
is
says
my it is my great amusement to watch people try.
people say Verci and they just stop there.
Yeah,
So
it's much easier. It's for their
yeah.
own sake.
I would say it's Versinai.
Oh shit! You got it.
It is right. Okay, see, I always thought it was Versinai.
Damn.
All right.
Wow.
There we go. I had to read it.
Everyone asks me where I got it from. It's just a play on the English language with all of its intricacies and messing with people. How well do you know all the exceptions and rules of the English language? Let's find out.
And for anybody who's not English speaking, it's a brutal language to learn because of those exceptions. Yeah. But
Like,
anyway.
isn't it supposed to be like this? No, not always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got poked by one of my teammates to
All right.
get ready for the match. So I do got to run, but thanks for having me. And I'm happy to finally show my face. I know that Raffle Waffle had to actually, he used a carpenter image in
funny.
the war room, so that's
There you
actually
go.
funny I say that. But yeah, so I'm the mystery has been unveiled as to who is Carpenter, I guess.
Yep.
So there you go.
All right, guys.
Now I'll have to stream with my face when I Twitch, I guess.
Again, thanks to Karpundir for coming out. Everybody, I appreciate you coming out here. I appreciate those of you who will be watching later, which seems to be the popular method. Of course, you can hit the follow on my Twitch. You can follow the Twitter to keep updates on anything that I will be doing in the future. You can also hit up the YouTube, which this video will be on very shortly. And yeah, thanks for everybody watching and taking interest. And of course, always interested in feedback and who else you would like to see. So I will catch you guys later. And I appreciate you, Cart, once again. And we are out. Take care.
All right. See you later.
Later.
Cookies. Have your cookies.
Absolutely.
All right. Take it easy.